word of faith is the whip of grace in my hand.
Behold, he comes, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun. At the trumpet call, so lift your voice. It's here unto Jubilee, out of Zion's hill salvation.
About 25 years ago, on May 1st, 1981, young brother David Oyedepo set out from Ilorin, southwest Nigeria, stopped over at Ondo town to see a friend, and later proceeded to see another Christian friend here in Ilesha. He met the absence of his friend, but this disappointment turned out to be a heavenly visitation in disguise. As he turned to leave, the Holy Spirit told him to seek a quiet place, because he wants to speak to him. In obedience, Brother David located this place, which was by name International Hotel.
That was how I got into that place. And the place was contrary to its name. It's international by name, but a rural setting altogether. There was steel chairs in the room, steel chairs. Everything was hard. So, but I knew I had to be there. Knelt down to give thanks to God, and that was it. The next 18 hours, I was before the Lord in a dramatic vision that seems like yesterday up till now to me. And the Lord caused me to see an array of men. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't dozing. I wasn't in a trance. It was an open vision. I saw them with my eyes passing and groaning, agonizing, sobbing, weeping. I saw them deformed, tattered, beaten, battered. And I was crying. The groaning was so intense that and I started sobbing myself and crying for hours on end. Why, Lord? Why, Lord? And he said, but from the beginning it was not so. But why, Lord? And now the hour has come to liberate the world from all oppressions of the devil through the preaching of the word of faith. And I'm sending you forth to undertake this task. That was how the mandate came. I rose up from that place. I was like a whirlwind.
Exactly 7 days after, he called some of his friends for a vision sharing meeting, which took place at the then UMTC, right in the center of Ilorin, Kwara State. On the 24th of the same month of May, a weekly fellowship known as Faith Liberation Hour commenced at the Ekwa Youth Center, also in the city of Ilorin. It was held every Friday beginning from 6 p.m. and once every month a seminar would take place at the same venue and run till the better part of Saturday. And so great things began to happen, and the names Brother David and Faith Lib soon became household names in Ilorin. For 26 months between 1981 and 1983, a group of men and women known as the Powerhouse, under the leadership of the Visioner, engaged in ceaseless prayer and fasting in order to generate the spiritual force required to drive an heavenly vision of such magnitude. They met regularly at places like St. Clair's Anglican Girls' Grammar School Offa, Government Technical College, Emerile, and Emerile Secondary School, all in Kwara State. At times they even go to mountaintops like Sobi Hills in the outskirts of Ilorin for prayers. At one of their meetings on the 10th of April 1982, 7 prophetic agendas of the Commission that have all found fulfillment today were delivered. The original handwritten documents of the minutes taken from that meeting is still intact today. By 1983, a strong foundation had been laid. God then told his servant in these words, "I would not have you go as others have gone, but I will have hands laid on you after the order of Joshua. For Joshua was full of the spirit of wisdom, because Moses had laid his hands on him. Send for my servant Adeboye, and I will have him lay hands on you." And so on the 17th of September 1983, Brother David was formally commissioned into full-time ministry by Pastor E.A. Adeboye, General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, at the African Hall, University of Ilorin Mini Campus. 2 days later, Reverend Oyedepo, as he was then referred to before he was ordained bishop in 1988, commenced formal work here at his first office at Ilorin with 5 hard-working youth corps members as staff. Bishop David Abioye, who is today the Vice President of the Living Faith Church worldwide, was one of these 5.
We had the president there in the inner room while 5 of us were in the other room. I used to humorously say that I can't explain how one room was able to take all of us together. We were all very kind of happy, so nobody felt any pain whatsoever. We had functional job schedules. None of us was idle. We were all busy. We did all kinds of things, ranging from book reviews to planning for programs and preparing papers for publicities and all of that. So it was a lot of experience. There was nothing we didn't try to do.
By divine direction, God revealed Kaduna, northern Nigeria to Reverend David Oyedepo as the central point of the ministry's operational program. After embarking on a week-long program tagged Revival and Healing Week, God further instructed him that he wanted a church planted here in Kaduna. Every weekend for 16 consecutive weeks, Reverend Oyedepo would drive for 7 long hours in his Volkswagen Beetle car from Ilorin to Kaduna to minister, and still return to Ilorin for the weekly fellowships. By the 11th of December 1983, the Living Faith Church was officially inaugurated, and by January 1984, average attendance was 6 people. On the 24th of June 1984, Reverend Oyedepo received a marching order to proceed to the church base at Ramat Close, Ungwan Rimi, Kaduna, which is now presently occupied by another ministry. The Living Faith Church continued to move on triumphantly in the city of Kaduna. And just when the church settled down in its newly acquired expanse of land at the Garden of Faith, God was ready for his next course of action, as he came speaking again to his servant, instructing him to arise, get down to Lagos, and raise me a people. So he had to leave Kaduna for Lagos to continue with the work. The church arrived in Lagos July 1989 at a leased property on New Era Road, Iyano Ipaja. Moved to its own property at Rajioba Street, also in Lagos, in 1992. And by 1993, the weekly church attendance was already 3,000 worshippers. Again, his obedience to divine direction triggered a phenomenal explosion in the numerical growth of the church in Lagos. And so, from 3,000 in 1993, church membership leaped to 10,000 in 1994. And by 1995, it jumped to 19,000 worshippers. In 1996, there was another 10,000 leap, and the church recorded a whopping 29,000 church membership. As at the last Sunday in Lagos in the year 1999, 5 worship services were being held every Sunday to cater for about 50,000 worshippers. The move to Canaanland began in 1996 with a search party. Initially, the choice of this place as the world headquarters of the church did not look like a wise one, especially to people with natural eyes. But with a supernatural view and on the platform of divine direction, winners won again.
We are preparing to dedicate the Winners Complex 30th of December. God was speaking to me that he was still going to relocate us. It was a paradox. By the time they were bringing me here in 1996, I think January or whatever time, I was very upset. No way. I mean, do you think we're going to farm? Is church we're talking about? We're coming and coming on. They didn't get there. I said, no way, this can't be. We almost had to turn back. But because there were about 4 cars, following, so let's go ahead. We got to the place. I was convinced in my heart that this can't be the place. Anyway, let's give thanks to God for the efforts thus far. I was to see before they would start negotiation. So, and as we stood up to give thanks to God, God spoke very clearly, this is the place.
Geographically, its location contradicted all natural and theological church growth principles, as it was several miles away from the center of commercial and urban activities. Spiritually, this expanse of land, before it was taken over by the church, according to reports from natives of the host community, was the main hub for witchcraft activities in southwest Nigeria. That spot specifically was notorious for evil practices at its peak. But faith triumphed again, and that same place has been totally transformed. Sitting right at the center of the land today is Faith Tabernacle, a 50,000-seater edifice, reputed to be the largest single church auditorium in the world. A house in a state which provides accommodation for church staff. The church secretariat, which is the main administrative seat of the ministry. Camp houses designed to cater for the lodging needs of visitors. And several other structures that stand today as architectural landmarks.
And we resumed here with 530 acres of land, 1999. But right now it has blown far beyond that. We are still acquiring. Today, for instance, a deal for 200 acres extra was added to what has been added before, and then we are already doing some fencing now of several other acres that is going on. So it's a growing city.
Large portions of the land also accommodate the educational arms of the ministry, which have over the years been attesting to the socio-economic relevance of the liberation mandate. Kingdom Heritage Schools, for instance, have been providing excellent education at the nursery and primary level for over 3 years. Blessed with highly committed and dedicated teachers who teach in classes with an excellent teacher-to-pupil ratio, children of Kingdom Heritage Schools are given the strong foundation needed to start well in life. The learning environment at Kingdom Heritage Schools is not only spacious and motivating for the kids, but also spiritually conducive. The school, apart from Canaanland, is also located in the cities of Lagos, Jos, Ibadan, Warri, Port Harcourt, Ilorin, and several other cities in Nigeria. Faith Academy, the secondary school arm of the ministry, also manifests the exploits of faith in all departments. Founded by the mission in 1999, immediately after arrival in Canaanland, Faith Academy is a unique blend of sound intellectual training and spiritual excellence, as students also partake in the weekly services at Faith Tabernacle. The science laboratories are also well stocked with facilities that promote effective teaching and learning. With all these in place, students of Faith Academy are raised to graduate into giants in their respective fields of endeavor. With all these living proofs already in place, faith did not stop triumphing. At a time when the whole world was still marveling at the exploits of faith as authenticated by the liberation mandate, Covenant University arrived on the scene. Since arrival, Covenant University has been spearheading a revolution in tertiary education, not only in Nigeria, but also on the continent of Africa. The record-breaking speed of construction is still generating much awe till date. In just 3 years of existence, the rate of physical and infrastructural development in the university is simply amazing. At the heart of the university stands an ultra-modern 2,500-seat capacity library complex, also known as a center for learning resources, stocked with tens of thousands of volumes of books, a massive 3-story college building, a state-of-the-art 2,500 seat capacity student cafeteria, a magnificent 5,000 seat capacity student chapel, 22 tastefully furnished duplexes for the professors' quarters, several blocks of senior staff quarters, each comprising 8 tastefully furnished 3-bedroom flats, 10 blocks of student hostels that provide accommodation for the over 6,500 students presently in the university, the College of Science and Technology, and several other structures. The university community also enjoys proper electrification with 24-hour provision of electricity. Academically, several laurels have been won by the university, including overall best in a nationwide accreditation exercise conducted in 2005 by the National Universities Commission, the apex regulatory body in Nigeria. Today, Covenant University is the most preferred among private universities by candidates seeking admission into Nigerian universities, as revealed in a survey conducted by a national daily newspaper. After the core mandate in 1981, Dr. David Oyedepo has had several other visionary encounters that led to the birth of the 3 major pillars of the church operations. These 3 major arms are the publishing, training, and foreign missions operations. The encounter that led to the birth of the publishing arm came about on the 14th of February 1983 when Dr. Oyedepo was up in his study reading an article in a magazine called New Wine, and God's voice came ringing clearly. "The words I have put in your mouth, the same commit into writing, and I will cause the same unction upon the spoken word to rest upon the written word, bringing about the same effect." Since then, Dr. David Oyedepo has authored over 60 different titles. Dominion Publishing House was commissioned in 1992 and has churned out over 5 million prints of Bishop Oyedepo's books as well as those of other anointed authors and speakers.
In 1983, during one of our meetings, the Lord spoke to me and said, He will, through this ministry, raise the foundations of many other ministries. That immediately pointed to the fact that I will be involved in training of some sort. I knew that, and so as time went on, things began to unfold, and I knew that this has to be a special school, a school that will help people that won't have to be regular pastors, to have spiritual stamina, to take the lead in their various vocations and callings. So we're the first, I believe, that began this liberal spiritual leadership training program in this country, where you don't have to resign your job to go to school. So we started by holding evening classes. Word of Faith Bible Institute began in Kaduna, September 1, 1986.
Since inception, about 170,000 students have passed through various programs of the Bible Institute. The spread of the Winners family over the years has been simply amazing. Everywhere the commission has been, irrespective of geographical location, it has generated the same liberation effect.
On the 4th of May, 1994, on my way from Zaria down to Kaduna after a meeting in one particular church, the Lord spoke to me in a very clear tone. The harvest of Africa is now overripe. Rush in and preserve it from decadence. Very distinctive voice, as if I heard it yesterday. I came back here on the 8th of May. We had our night vigil, and we had a giant map of Africa, and we dedicated that Monday to God for execution. On the 14th of June, we had opened an office called World Mission Agency. We set out the registration procedure. Everything was going on. By 15th of January, the first set of missionaries, 1995, went out of the shores of Nigeria. Right now, we are in 68 locations in about 34 nations.
Back home in Nigeria, the Living Faith Church is located in over 300 cities, with the world headquarters in Faith Tabernacle, Canaanland, Nigeria. Driving to Canaanland from Lagos is not a short one, yet winners start trooping into Faith Tabernacle as early as 5:30 a.m. for the worship service that commences at 7 a.m. And the 50,000-seat auditorium is always filled to capacity every Sunday. The second service follows immediately after the first at the 3,000-seat capacity youth chapel. Winners praise God fearfully and throw themselves loose in His presence, which is obviously the root of the fearful acts of God witnessed in this heavenly commission on a regular basis. An attitude of praise and thanksgiving to God has always been there from the beginning and is still there today. In the city of Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, the presence of winners is so heavy. The Living Faith Church Abuja, under the pastoral care of Bishop David Abioye, Vice President of the Living Faith Church Worldwide, attracts worshippers in their thousands from every part of the city. 3 Sunday worship services are held weekly, each one with an awesome overflow of worshippers. As of the year 2005, average weekly attendance of worship services stands at well over 24,000. Indeed, the Winners family in Abuja confirms the exploits of the Liberation Mandate in that part of the country. In Port Harcourt, capital city of Rivers State, South Nigeria, the word of faith being preached has been triumphing and generating ceaseless testimonies, delivering liberation packages into the hands of all. 3 worship services are also held here every Sunday, with the first starting at exactly 6:30 a.m. Winners in Port Harcourt start trooping in as early as 5:30 a.m. and before 6:30 a.m. the auditorium is already filled to the brim. In spite of the giant auditorium put in place, the overflow of worshippers is still a regular feature. Average church membership in Living Faith Church Port Harcourt is well over 20,000. The senior pastor in charge of the winning flock in Port Harcourt is Bishop Joseph Ebohime. In Kaduna, northern Nigeria, from where the church ministry took off formally, the word of faith has never ceased to triumph. Multitudes in their thousands throng the garden of faith every week to have their fill of the ever-fresh word of faith being declared by God's anointed servant, Bishop Thomas Aremu. In spite of the expansive auditorium, 3 worship services are held every week to cater for the spiritual needs of every winner. Average weekly attendance at the Garden of Faith Kaduna is also well over 20,000. The fertility of the Liberation Mandate is also clear for everyone to see in the city of Warri Delta State, South Nigeria. With Bishop Dixon Olorunda sent to deliver word of faith in that city, the liberation effect of the commission has never ceased to answer. The same attitude of fearful praises to God, typical of the Winners family everywhere, is evident at the Living Faith Church Warri. The authority of the word of faith being declared by Bishop Bulu Martins, senior pastor of the Ibadan branch of the church, cannot be denied, as testimonies keep pouring in and signs and wonders are becoming the order of the day. In spite of the expansive nature of Ibadan as the second largest city in Africa, the physical presence of the church at Orita Bashorun can be felt through the entire parts of Oyo State. Winners in their thousands, over 10,000, travel long distances to partake of any of the 2 worship services held weekly. Back in the city of Ilorin, where this heavenly vision was incubated and nurtured for 26 months before the church was divinely directed to Kaduna, the effect of the word of faith is still the same. Every worship service at the Winners Complex in Ilorin is characterized by an overflow of people, whether on Sundays or on weekdays. The anointed bearer of the word of faith at the branch of the church in Ilorin is Bishop Mike Afolabi. There are several other locations in this fashion across Nigeria where the liberation mandate is thriving and flourishing greatly.
I believe that this Silver Jubilee anniversary for the Winners family worldwide is sure to mark the end of every struggle and everything they have long waited for. By divine time and season, is their turn to walk in the realities of their testimony. And as long as we remain committed to our source, acknowledging where the happening is coming from, and celebrating the source of the happiness, it will never end.
Despite being a man of great exploits in many spheres of life, he still maintains an excellent family life. Over the years, his lovely wife, Pastor Mrs. Faith Oyedepo, has stood solidly by him and has been one of his greatest blessings in the work of the ministry.
We were in courtship for 6 years. I caught this heavenly vision in the course of our courtship when we were preparing to be married. And she was the first human being that had me share this vision after coming out of that place. She's been such a pillar of support from that time till date. Highly spiritual woman. She loves the Lord, and it shows. She's blessed with a powerful teaching ministry and a very impactful writing ministry. Quiet spirit and very heavy spiritual support.